Hi, the goal of this lesson is to teach you how to simplify fractions with numbers. To do this, you must already know how to identify the factors of a given number. To simplify fractions, we factor and cancel. Then we always check if we can keep simplifying. In this case, we're usually factoring out the greatest common factor. Okay? I'm going to quickly go over a few examples just to give you the big picture. Then I'm going to explain all the details. Okay? So here we make a mental list of the factors of 6 and the factors of 8, and we select the greatest common factor, which in this case is 2. So we factor and cancel the 2, and what's left is the answer. Here there are only 2 factors of 5, 1 and 5. And 5 is also a factor of 20, so we factor out 5, the greatest common factor, and we cancel, and what's left is our answer. Here there are several common factors. We select the greatest one, which is 15, so we factor out 15 and cancel, and what's left is our answer. Same thing here. We must select the greatest common factor, which is 20. So we factor and cancel 20. Now, you probably don't know how to do this if you're watching this video, but that's okay. I just want you to understand that for fractions in general, right, to simplify fractions, we factor and cancel. So we factor these expressions. We notice the same factor here and here. We cancel, and what's left is our answer. Now I'm going to go over all the details of simplifying fractions. So the F in GCF is for factor. What's a factor? A factor of a number divides it evenly. So these numbers divide 12 evenly. These numbers divide 20 evenly. Now for us to cancel, we need the same factor. This is called a common factor. Common here means shared by all, like a common room or common sense. So here, 1, 2, and 4 are factors of both the numerator and denominator. And greatest, of course, means we select the largest one, which is 4 in this case. So as you can see, the fundamental skill here that you need to have is to be able to identify the factors of a number. And what that means is you really just have to be good at your times tables. And that's not something that I can just tell you. You just have to practice. Okay? So we factor and cancel the 4. What's left is our answer. But why can we cancel the 4 here? A lot of students don't know this. Well, we can rewrite this fraction like this, right? 3 times 4 and 5 times 4. Well, 4 over 4 is just 1. And any number times 1 is itself. So this is why the 4's go away. Okay? So let's review. The factors go away, or cancel, because the factor divided by itself is 1, and any number times 1 is itself. Okay? It's important you know what common mistakes students make, and the most common is not simplifying all the way. This happens when students don't factor out the greatest common factor. So we must always check if we can still simplify the fraction. So for example, let's say you factor out a 2 here, and get this. Now this is fine, these are equal, but you have to ask yourself, can we still simplify? In other words, is there still a common factor in the numerator and denominator besides 1? Okay? There is in this case, and that's because 2 was not the greatest common factor. So in this case, we factor out 10 and 10, and we get 3/5. Let's check, are there any more common factors besides 1? No. Okay? That being said, do we actually have to factor out the greatest common factor? No. It may actually be easier and faster to factor out smaller numbers, but we must always check to see if we're done. So what we're going to do is starting at 2, we're going to try 2 and then 3 and then 5 and try to very quickly factor out smaller numbers. So for example here, the greatest common factor is 12, but let's say that didn't occur to us. Right? We can, in our heads, we can start at 2 and say, well, is 2 a common factor? Yes. So let's divide out a 2, right? 2 times 24 and 2 times 30. So we factor and cancel the 2 and we get this. Let's keep trying 2. Is 2 a common factor? Yes. So 2 times 12 and 2 times 15. So we're factoring and canceling a 2. Is 2 still a common factor? No. Let's try 3. Is 3? Yes. 3 times 4 and 3 times 5. So we get the same answer. It takes more steps, but it may actually be easier for us because we're factoring out smaller numbers. But either way is fine. Another example. It may not occur to you that 15 is the greatest common factor. That's fine. Try to factor out a smaller number, but always check to see if you're done. So let's try 2. Is 2 a common factor? No. Is 3? Yes. 3 times 25 and 3 times 30. Is 3 still a common factor? No. Let's try 5. Yes. 5 times 5 and 5 times 6. So again, we get the same answer, but this may be easier. But the key is we can't stop here. We must always check if we can keep simplifying. This is, I think, the most common mistake that students make. Okay, so let's review. How do you simplify fractions? You factor and cancel. Then you always check to see if you can still keep simplifying. Okay, when can a fraction be simplified? Well, if there's a common factor in the numerator and denominator. Okay, so why do those common factors, why do they cancel from a fraction? Well, the common factor divided by itself is 1. And any number times 1 is itself. So that's why the factors go away. Okay, that's the end of the lesson. Me telling you all this is very easy, but for you to learn it, you really just have to practice. So please test yourself and think of the answer before you see the answer. That's all. Thank you.